Sit down and buckle up, folks, because we're going to be doing a lot of reading. Vancouver Canucks President of Hockey Operations Jim Rutherford just confirmed that the Vancouver Canucks are in a rebuild. But that's not it. There's an entire article posted about this on sportsnet.ca. It is the great triple threat Ian McIntyre going out there and interviewing JR. And the response from the community, from people in the media, from fans, it is all over the place. Before we fully dive into the article, let's just go over this Jason Bruff tweet, because he ended up tweeting an excerpt from the piece. It is essentially the main meat and potatoes of the idea. This is what Jim Rutherford said in the interview. The process of a rebuild, quote-unquote, would take 2 or 3 times longer if you just go with young players. Rutherford said Sunday, "You have to have the right veteran players to mentor these up-and-coming players. If you do that, the rebuilding process doesn't have to be nearly as long. And we happen to have some very good veteran players that can, and I believe, are willing to play in a situation like this and be good mentors." Essentially shutting down the idea that if Vancouver wants to go through a full-on rebuild, tear it down to the studs, you're looking at guys like Pedersen, DeBrusk, Besser, Garland, Demko. You are looking at all of these guys getting traded away, and Rutherford is saying, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to go full balls to the wall, only young guys, because that will mean the rebuild takes a little bit longer. So, if this is true, then how are we going to react? Well, let's go out there and see some of the replies. You have one of these from John Takes. The thing is, I know everyone wants the Canucks to trade out their veteran players, but everyone has negative value right now. You'd be retaining a lot, or even giving up sweeteners to dump these contracts. Who in the Canucks lineup has genuine value at their current cap hits? Bruff goes out there and replies, "I agree, and I think it's okay to complain about that, even if the Canucks don't have a solution. The main decisions that have been made to put this team into this position have almost all gone wrong." No argument there, whether it's Marcus Pettersson's extension, the Besser extension, Demko, Evander Kane, everything went poorly. I want to complain too, but I don't know any solution other than drafting super well next year, and competing in 1 to 2 years with Medvedev, Coots, Stenberg, McKenna, Rossi, Ogren, Karamagi, Buyam, Villander, and all these guys that will be ready to play at that time. So, yeah, that's some good food for thought, thinking about the Vancouver Canucks and what could be, what is possible for this lineup heading into the next few years. But let's go out there and dive into the actual article, shall we? The full excerpt of what it is Jim Rutherford goes out there and talks about in regards to the hybrid rebuild and where Vancouver is right now. And oh yeah, before we continue first, I just wanted to say the Winnipeg Jets ended up beating the New Jersey Devils today. Thank you, Jack and Luke Hughes. So now Winnipeg has 39 points in 44 games. Vancouver, 37 points, dead last in the league, the worst points percentage, the worst overall points. Do they have the worst goal differential? No, I think they're second worst. Ah, yes, there you go. Thank you, St. Louis. But let's go out there and continue on here, shall we? The hybrid rebuild, Ian McIntyre writes, may get more combustive. Canucks president Jim Rutherford said Sunday that although plans for the hybrid haven't changed as the organization tries to support and guide its developing prospects by retaining key veterans, everything is on the trade table for the Vancouver Canucks. After notifying teams in November that Vancouver was taking offers on its free agency players, Rutherford told Sportsnet that GM Patrick Allvin has been getting calls of interest on Canucks other than just their impending UFAs. "I would suggest that we listen to teams when they call, about anybody," Rutherford said, "but that would be the same whether we're winning or losing. When someone talks about a hybrid rebuild, it means the team is not shopping every player. But prior to this, we already made the decision that we are going to go with younger guys. Over the past few years, our staff has done a good job, and we have a number of good young players, whether they're in our lineup now or close to getting in our lineup. And those players are going to get a chance to play. Based on the circumstances with this team, this is the year to do it. The fact of the matter is, we are in a rebuild." Now, IMAC has the stats. 9 of 12 Canucks older than 25 and on multiple year contracts have some form of trade protection. According to Rutherford, none has approached management to say they don't want to endure the pain of the organization's pivot towards youth, which became more sharply defined within last month's trade of captain and superstar Quinn Hughes. People will go through their times of struggling with what's going on, Rutherford said, and times they won't. Nobody wants to be a part of losing, and certainly losing streaks, but it's in everybody's best interest to play within the system. Try to play the right way, and win some games. For anybody that totally drops from that, it's only going to hurt the individual more so than it will hurt the team. We have a number of first-year players in our lineup, which is what we want. It's the direction we want to go. We have to realize we're in a process now, okay? We have to learn to play the game the right way and learn when and when not to try to do things. And we're seeing those mistakes clearly this week, that we can make better choices to prevent goals. And that's what we want to see from this group. We have to learn from our mistakes. Learning from y'all's mistakes, eh? Okay, I think he's talking about the on-ice play of the players that are on the roster rather than management's mistake of getting all these guys, signing all these players, and doing so in a desperate attempt at keeping Quinn Hughes. It didn't work. Let's go out there and read this. Alvin termed it a hybrid rebuild. The process of a rebuild would take 2 to 3 times longer. Okay, that's the same quote that we saw earlier from Halford and Bruff. All options will be open as far as development. Our plan this year, before we added Zeev Buium, is that our young defensemen would go up and down to the minors and get different reps in the AHL, and be able to play not under the same pressure you get at the NHL level. Some of the mistakes I'm seeing are very correctable, but all those options are open. Whether you win 10 or lose 10 in a row, those options should always be there. And even more so now with where the Vancouver Canucks are at the moment. So, there's a little bit of clarity, but at the same time, I think Vancouver Canucks fans have the right to complain about the process of keeping older guys and just trying to experiment with younger guys, mostly because the messaging from management over to the fan base has been so inconsistent throughout the course of the past few weeks, with Rutherford and Alvin saying different things after the Quinn Hughes trade was made. Rebuild, retool, with a hybrid form, what have you. It's been quite the roller coaster to follow. Meanwhile, speaking of management, ownership, this is what Gary Mason said earlier this morning on Twitter. He's the guy that I think a lot of people have kind of pegged as the quote-unquote mouthpiece for Francesco Aquilini. Mason tweeted this out: Canucks fans, it's time for a complete rebuild. Tear it down to the studs and start over. Tank, baby, tank. That performance against Toronto was disgusting. The team has lost its fire. Get rid of the entire management team. This was greeted with some response. Cam Robinson said, hey, there's more nuance to this, Gary, and you know that. If this was the skeletal remains of a teardown, no reasonable person would object to embarrassing losses. Instead, this is still the team they've doubled down on being able to retool in a hurry. The party told you to ignore the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. There were some other replies as well. Jordan Spink said, Gary, this take is not correct. Fans are upset because there's no plan. Rutherford and Alvin held separate media availabilities after the Hughes trade, and we heard very inconsistent messaging. If they came down with a clear message, it would settle a lot of people down. Gary Mason said most people felt the Canucks did about as good as you could in a Quinn Hughes trade. At least that was the early impression. They're looking to trade Sherwood, but obviously haven't got what they're looking for. Not defending management, I'm just saying there are a bunch of things happening or that have happened that fans have been calling for. Clearly no one could have seen the Miller and Petey debacle or the dramatic fall-off in the latter's game. Just think that fans need to look at the situation in their totality, not just in one-offs. So, I wanted to include this because Gary Mason, of course, has very direct ties to Francesco Aquilini, and if this is the direction that is shadowing what the owner feels, just saying if, it does kind of contradict what we had seen out of Rutherford. Oh, keeping older guys, keeping veterans on the team. So I do think at this point it is a big jumbled mess of what we're dealing with as Vancouver Canucks fans. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Vancouver Canucks and Jim Rutherford's commentary on them actually being in a rebuild. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.